We haven't talked about Donald Trump Jr. for a while, and he did a fascinating interview on CNBC yesterday, which reminded all of us that he is not exactly the smart one of the Trump kids. Which one is the smart one? I don't know. I think Ivanka, if I had to say. But it was very interesting because CNBC grilled him about Trump's whole crypto meme coin scam. And his explanations, his defenses, his apologia really fell extraordinarily flat, just extraordinarily flat. Let's take a listen when he was asked about this by Andrew Ross Sorkin. This is actually good stuff. I like this.
So let me ask you a question about the meme coin, okay? You may not believe this. I want your father and this White House to have all the credibility in the world. And invariably, people are always going to question whatever any president does. But one of the things that people do demonstrably question is they say this meme coin that your father has creates the opportunity for foreign adversaries, people in the U.S., anybody, if they want, to effectively funnel money.
It's as bad as Hunter's art. It's as bad as Hunter's art or the Clinton Foundation with her getting back into the White House. It just seems like a way that greases the skids for influence.
So I think the meme coin, you don't know who's actually doing any of these things, right? So
but that's one of the things that has people on
edge.
edge.
It's different because it's hard to influence if you don't actually know where the stuff's coming from, right? So.
Okay, so we've got it paused. Oh, think about what Don Jr. is saying. Don Jr. is saying you can't influence Trump by buying the meme coin and funneling money to Trump because your name isn't attached to the purchases. That's his explanation. Now, aside from the generic absurdity of that, it's also untrue because I can go to Trump and I can say, hey, listen, we're going to be making a purchase of the meme coin. We are going to make a purchase of $152.1 million worth, or we're going to buy 752,911,000, right? And then that transaction goes through. And of course, now you know who it's coming from because they told you an exact number in advance that they were going to purchase. So the idea that the information, Trump could have no idea who's investing in this thing, not to mention the dinner he held was for the top holders of the meme coin. So certainly you can, however they required, you take a screenshot or whatever, you prove that you have a certain amount of the coin. So it's a laughable explanation.
I wasn't involved in the meme coin. I'm more focused on, obviously, the stable coin, the Bitcoin mining, right. Some of those things. But, the reality is I think a lot of these things in the meme coin...
You're not taking responsibility for the meme.
I'm just saying the reality of the meme coin is it's sort of a proof of concept that the crypto world understands exactly what I was talking about earlier, that the markets may not necessarily be fair. The traditional banking system may not be fair to them. So it's a proof of concept of what I think we can move the needle in crypto. And I think that's going to be the future of finance. It's going to be the future of banking, almost without question. If we can accelerate that process by going all in on it,
but
I'm for it.
You've heard from people in the crypto industry, I imagine some of your friends who have said that some of these coins and what's happening may undermine a little bit of what's happening because people are questioning it, right?
I have not heard that from anyone, actually.
Nope. Nobody's telling Don Jr. that. They're keeping him completely insulated from that criticism. Okay, so the defense is simply a lie. We have no way of knowing where the money's coming from the meme coin. Well, somehow you figured out who the top 200 holders were, and you invited them for a surf and turf dinner that looked disgusting, by the way, at Mar-a-Lago. So clearly you're able to figure out where the money's coming from. Then the topic comes up of 2020. And I'm going to present this one without any introduction. Take a listen.
Yeah. I think even the president, a lot of Democrats sort of wish they'd gotten it out of the way already in 2020.
All the Democrats had to do was shut up in 2020.
He'd be gone already. And
he 100% won anyway. It doesn't matter. You'd have a Democrat president right now. You wouldn't have a strong Republican bench, which we have now of people who are proven fighters who've been in the trenches. It's such a role reversal from what we've always seen, where the Democrats always had a bench.
He's sticking with it, out of what appears to be, as I've said, I don't think Don Jr.'s the smart one, but I think he's smart enough to know that his dad didn't really win in 2020. But he's, he wants his dad to love him, and he's sticking with the lie that Trump is actually the winner in 2020. And then just one more here. The coup attempt became sort of a punchline during this interview.
And he certainly couldn't have made a comeback if President Biden had addressed those issues.
Well, and reelected in 2020.
Yeah, well, I always say sometimes you have to hit rock bottom, and I think it took.
That was for him.
That was for him.
Giving him money. He's talking about.
I'm sorry. I take that back.
It took the 4 years of Biden.
I take that was totally for you. I take it back.
But I think it did take the 4 years of Biden for America to realize how fragile some of these things are. You went from a time of prosperity to a time of poverty. You went from a time of peace to a time of war. These things happened when America wasn't leading with strength.
Right.
You know, it takes a little bit of that for us to understand just how fragile we were. I think that brought back Trump. And you see,
can you imagine what a backwards analysis of the last 4 to 6 years? And one of the things that we often talk about is how do we disabuse people of false beliefs not based in fact? And one of the sad realities is that a lot of that framework that he just explained, we were at peace, and then under Biden, we were at war. And everything was just going so well, and all of a sudden, everything was just going so terribly, even though we can't find any data to actually back that up. Those stubborn, recalcitrant beliefs from people in the MAGA world like Don Jr., they're very sticky. They really stick. And it's an uphill battle to sort of try to undo that. Guys in my audience, I know you're tired of the chafing with traditional underwear. Our sponsor, Sheath, makes the most comfortable boxer briefs I've ever worn. If you're sick of the boxers that are too loose or the briefs that are too tight, Sheath is for you. Sheath underwear is designed with 2 special pouches in the front. Keeps everything separate in its own compartment with extra confidence that you will feel throughout the day, keeping things separate and comfortable, no more sticking and chafing. I was skeptical about the dual pouch, I admit it, but it is game changing. Everything stays where it is supposed to be, extra useful when working out at the gym, and even if you don't want to use the pouches, you don't have to. It is still the most comfortable pair of underwear I have ever owned. It will blow your mind how soft and stretchy these are, made with moisture-wicking technology to keep you dry. If you were ready to take underwear comfort to a new place, a place you didn't even know it could go, head over to sheathunderwear.com/Pacman and get 20% off with the code Pacman. The link is in the description.